The opinions made in this video do not necessarily coincide with that of Imaginary Goddess, or anyone else for that matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King, here with a bit of information about the new sets that are coming, about the set 15 that's coming out, as well as I'm going to redo a Grand Blue deck, and I think that'll be interesting to some people. I forgot to prepare adequately for it. Oh, I'm just doing that. Okay, there it is. And lastly, I'm going to go over a very special card that I'm sure has been close to everyone's hearts recently, and has caused much sorrow, desolation, and despair. Common day in Vanguard, really. Alright, so to start off, I've got 3 cards from set 15. A double rare, a triple rare, and another triple rare, and I'm going to cover them all, in order. First off, we got Desperate Dragon. Desperate Dragon is a pretty sweet card. It's, this is the SP version. It's, you can really feel it. It's nice. Counterblast 1 card with a limit break 4. Counterblast the Revenger. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, if the number of rear guards you have is more than your opponent, you can pay the cost. If you do this, the unit gets plus 5k plus a credit total in the battle. That's pretty generic. But like Liberators, all of a sudden they got like, I don't know, 5 cards in the field. How can Shadow Paladins have more than 5 cards on the field? You know, it's impossible. Well, here's what the second ability is. Choose one Shadow Paladin rearguard and retire it. Any Shadow Paladin rearguard, by the way. Beginning of the May phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses one of his rearguards and retires it. In other words, as soon as it moves from ride phase to main phase, you kill something. By the way, in other words, you break ride on Mordred. He's not Mordred. You counterblast 1, summon something up like a Rakia. Where is she? Rakia, who is, when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, if you have a Shadow Paladin Vanguard, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 or less Revenger in the card name, call it to Rearguard in the same column as this unit, shuffle your deck till end of turn, this unit goes at the bottom of the deck. She's AK for a reason. Why? Because you summon out this guy, you discard a Mordred or a Desperate Dragon that you don't need and search out, and then you remove another Mordred from the deck. By the way, that's 2 cards that are not triggers you remove from your deck. That's always a good idea. Anyway, so basically you do this, she's 13k, this is a 20k column, it's not bad, but then you kill this one. She remains 13k and you put something behind her. All of a sudden, this, they have to retire a rear guard. Then this guy goes off. This card is not a minus to you. This card is still a plus. That's fantastic. That is the essence of Shadow Paladins. It's probably still the worst triple rare in the set, and that's crazy. I mean, this should not be the worst triple rare in the set. This should be like the ace card of anything before set 15. But no. There's Drag Ruler. There's Rebirth. There's Cradle is better. Karma Dragon is what Aquaforce really needs instead of Tetra. It's just a whole bunch of really cool stuff just working together for a fantastic series of combinations. This can be used with Bloodmaster, who is Counterblast 1, take a damage, draw 2 cards. Or Nemain, Counterblast 1, discard a card, draw 2 cards. And then you sort of choosing how you're going to do it. And any number of combinations and possibilities, is before your eyes. Obviously the Counterblast's a little bit heavy, but at the same time, you run Rukia, you run a few other ones that summon stuff up for free, you're going to be fine. You run Judge Bow, you get Judge Bow off when you're running Mordred, because they don't really want to block an 18k column really early. You're almost guaranteed it, in which case you still run Shadowlances to discard extra grade 3s for less Mordreds. On to the second guy, Liberator Holy Shine Dragon. End of your turn, you may choose a grade 3 gold paladin from your soul, break right, and ride it. And if you row, choose a card named Liberator, Holy Shine Dragon from your soul. In other words, it puts itself in the soul, put it into your hand. you just do it again. Why? Counterblast 1, Liberator in the card name. When this unit is placed on Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at the top card of your deck. In other words, if you have a Gancelot combo going, you'll always have at least one card to put stuff in. Look at the top card of your deck, search for one Gold Paladin, and any Gold Paladin, call it to an open R, put the rest in the bottom of the deck. Sad. Ooh, wait. You could actually do it on him with himself, as long as you run Liberators. In other words, you could run Liberator with him in Pelennor. Just a second. Oh wait, no, it's end of turn. Excuse me, my bad. Pluses, power, everything. It's a pity Bleobris or a few other ones. There aren't any other. I don't think there are any other Gold Paladin break rides. Just Gancelot. In which case, that's the obvious combo. Another good combo is with sort of anybody who, sort of gives you some sort of advantage on ride. Garmor, per se. Or, let's see, there was a guy called Zahid that's some sort of promo in Japan. And he's like, Counterblast 1, look at the top 2, choose 2. Or put the rest in the bottom of the deck. And that's fantastic. Constantly getting these pluses. Constantly repairing from this guy, or from Kagero, or from whatever the hell's, eating up your field. You're going to be okay. Lastly, let's see, I know I had a combo well with him. Alright, combos well with History Liberator Maron. When this unit is placed on rearguard from deck, in other words, when she's brought out with his ability or someone else's ability, look at the top 5 cards, look for a grade 3 Royal Gold Paladin, Sky, or a Break Ride. Reveal it to your opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle the deck. That's a fantastic card. Unfortunately, if he's in the soul, you can't really do it. But if he's riding, you can. Really, I can't really think of very good many combos with them that isn't just Liberator specific. And that's fine. Liberators are a great clan, but at the same time, it's not my style. I don't really enjoy it, so I'm gonna figure something out with him, but later. Something unique, something spicy, pizzazzy. Lastly, we got the last card, Venus Luquier, Silverthorn Dragon Empress. Oh my goodness! Here's the thing about Pale Moon. Some people think Bushy hates Pale Moon. No, that is a dumb opinion. What you need, Pale Moon is one of the beloved clans of Vanguard, straight up. You might say, oh, but they don't get the same as Drag Ruler or Kagero or whatever. No, that's not what's important. What you do is, what Bushy Road favors are unique ideas. Dark Railers, not liked. Aquaforce is there because Leon plays Aquaforce and he's a great character, and they don't want to sort of waste his character on somebody else who won't be as good. But Pale Moon was one of the, not like the top 4, but it was one of the flagship clans of Vanguard. Starting set 3, they really started bringing out more and more interesting things. Set 3 had Alice, Nightmare Doll Alice. Also, it had Barking Manticore, and the Crimson and Turquoise Beast Tamer, which were 9K and 11K attackers in an era when Palamedes, a 13K grade attacker grade 3, was a triple rare and $20. Crimson Beast Tamer was a very expensive card until, I want to say, set 10 to 11. Set 12, certainly. And Beast Tamers are actually getting a lot more support in Fighter's Collection and a few other things. But Silverthorn is a complete and fantastic archetype in and of itself. Her abilities: Limit Break 4, Counterblast 2 Silverthorns, and Soul Charge 2. Choose 5 Pale Moon cards with the sum of their grades being 6 or less from Soul. Call them to separate rearguard circles. This ability cannot be used until end of turn. In other words, you can do it like this: 10K attacker, grade 1 10K attacker, grade 1 that does something, grade 1 that does something, grade 1 that does something, grade 2 that does something. Or, you could do grade 2, grade 2, grade 1, grade 1, and you've got the booster here who gets sent out for free. Put this unit into the soul. Look at the top 5 cards of the deck. Choose up to one grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 card with Silverthorn in the name These aren't triggers, by the way, so that's always, thinning out the deck is always great. Put them into your soul and shuffle the deck. That's a fantastic thing. She charges up for her own abilities. The bare minimum of her ability is a grade 3, grade 2, grade 1. So in other words, you get her to cross ride. Simple as that. You get it to her early, so you ride Venus Luquier. Cross rides are slow, she becomes fast. Let's see what else we got here. Pale Moon is a fun deck for those who just have the creativity. I play Chelsea Break Ride. That's fun, fantastic. I might be playing other fun decks later. You got Brassy Bunny. When this unit is placed, when another Pale Moon is placed on the rearguard from Soul, if you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, you can call this card to R, rearguard circle. At the end of the turn, put this unit into the Soul. In other words, let's say they let Mirror Demon hit for some stupid reason. You slide Mirror Demon in. You slide another card out, like say an Alice. This comes out as well. All of a sudden, you've got a 16k column. Alice is a 10k attacker on a hit, counterblast 1 into Soul. This comes back out. Unfortunately, you know, this ability can't go off again, but at the same time, if you pull it off right, you know, this will go back in. You'll come, everything just sort of pops out. Mirror Demon comes out. They let Mirror Demon hit again for some stupid reason. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And she works with her. Because in other words, you put this in the deck, a couple of other ones, let's say you have to do a grade 3, grade 2, and a grade 1. Then this comes out. And another one comes out. And all of a sudden you got a full field with great columns, you know, without using her limitations. And of course she's a cross ride if you have Luquier, Silverthorn Tamer, Dragon Tamer, and the Soul. This gets plus 2k. This is fantastic. There's also a grade 2 version of her Blase Bunny, Misdirection. So you can run it with any of the grade 1s that can switch out. She also has Silverthorn Assistant Zelma. It's a purple trapezius for Silverthorn. That's fantastic. So you pull her out, you send something else in, you send something else out. Let's say you have to put a trigger here because of some reason. You put the trigger in, you pull something else out, and then you can pull the trigger out for another booster, fixing your field constantly. So many shenanigans. It's blowing my mind. This is a fantastic card and worth the cost. Of all things. Also, Silverthorn gets some power busters. With Silverthorn Upright Line, let's say you put it here, then also when another of your units with Silverthorn and the card name is placed on rearguard from Soul, the reason why they don't have a grade 1 is because the grade 1 will be too powerful. Constantly pulling out immense amounts of pressure. You know, like do, and then you pull out 2 grade 2s. All of a sudden, everything is a 13k booster. 22k column. This gets plus 3k until end of turn for every single one you pull out. In other words, you set it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's plus 12k. That's 21k by itself. 28k if you, let's say you put out one of these guys. What else is there? If you pull out one of these guys, you can also do more things. Boosted it higher, 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 higher. 31k, 34k. You know, whatever you need, you can do if you have the creativity. People who bitch and moan about things, you know, not being loved by Bushy Road, look at Mega Colony. I know this is the set that Mega Colony comes out on, or Grand Blue, but at the same time, there just isn't the level of love that Pale Moon has. You know, Eradicators sell. Liberators sell. That's your Link Joker sells. That's why they have them, and that's why they have so much support. This sells, but not as much, but at the same time, it allows for so much more. The mechanic of using the Soul as multiple attacks just does so much more than people give it credit for. And, you know, quite frankly, you know, complaining about this betrays some sort of, I don't know, uncreativity for Vanguard. You're only as strong as how creative you are in Vanguard, how skillful you are. You know, I could create a deck like this that, you know, with the Silverthorn archetype, that could be incredibly powerful. But at the same time, this isn't, you know, this isn't my card for one thing, and I don't have the money to buy Silverthorn. I traded them all off for a whole bunch of stuff when I bought a case of set 12. But at the same time, you know, I could take what went on in set 12, like let's say Upright Lion, Zelma, even Misdirection and Blase Bunny, you know, and make something incredibly interesting, incredibly fun. I'm currently considering a deck with Eva and Nightmare Doll Carol. Nightmare Doll Carol, Limit Break 4, Counterblast 1, choose 2 Pale Moon Rearguards, put them into the Soul. Choose 2 Pale Moon Rearguards and call them to separate Rearguard circles. This ability cannot be used for the rest of the turn. In other words, you can use her with a lot of Silverthorn stuff that doesn't require the archetype, of which there are a couple lying around. So in other words, because here's the thing about this. This doesn't require this requires a Pale Moon Vanguard, not Silverthorn Vanguard. So in other words, if I use Eva correctly and her correctly, all of a sudden, this guy gets plus 12k, 21k column like I mentioned earlier. And if you pull off more shenanigans fixing your field where, you know, it's detrimental to you, with Purple Trapezes and, let's say, Magician of Quantum Mechanics, there's nothing that limits you. And that's the thing. That's the difference between the masters of Vanguard, the good players of Vanguard, and the people who just have a Novell deck that, you know, they think will make them win tournaments. You know, there are tiers to this sort of thing. The imagination you put into your decks, the ability and the sort of the gelling of the decks that you make will determine your rankings. Always. Luck? Sure. You know, buying Novell? Sure. But a master playing any deck that is a good deck that he has made and he has tested and that works will beat that Novell deck, barring some unfortunate circumstance like a double crit during a 2-pass. And of course that's a hazard everyone has, because the Novell faces it and the guy faces it. So what else is there but to say, screw it, let's do it. Anyway, I'm putting these aside. That Desperate Dragon deck is going to go into a really fun Shadow Paladin deck. I'm a little bit tired Raging Form. It's just too powerful. It's too sort of, meh, look at this, I top deck a Raging Form again. And I've only got 10 triggers in a 16 card deck because I've taken everything out. Oh, same strategy every time. This will force me to be creative, and I love it. I'm looking forward to this card. I originally didn't know how I felt about it, but then I started loving it. I'm also going to be using Demon World Castle when the extra booster for Shadow Paladins comes out. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to combo it up with Blackwing Swordbreaker for a plus, if I do it right, a +4. And that's fun. Alright then, middle segment. I'm going to go over my Grand Blue deck. I promise I'd do this. And, you know, it's a bit difficult to play Grand Blue deck. First off, my collection of Grand Blue cards aren't as great as it should be. I've got a lot of Cassidus stuff, I've got a lot of, you know, sort of ancillary stuff, but some real rare cards that you don't really get because nobody really played them and kept them, you know, I don't have. And, you know, if I want them, I'm going to have to go online, for reasons. So, starter-wise, I've only got 2 starters here. There are other ones. There's a grade 3 searcher, I believe, somewhere, and a few other cards, but I just don't have them. Like I said, I don't have enough, you know, Grand Blue stuff to really make a difference. But the 3 stars I do have depend on the ace. Now, if I'm riding Cassidus, I could ride him, I could ride him, depending on what you like. You know, me, I like this guy a bit better. I like choosing what to put in the damage zone. Like, say, I remove things from, move non-triggers from my deck constantly. But at the same time, I'm not really been liking Cassidus. What I have right now is a Cassidus Break Right combo. And it's just not, you know, snapping for me. So let's get creative. What's a good card to use? Obviously, because what aces do I have? Now, this is where people will be surprised. I'm sure people have thought of this deck. You know, I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not the first one to think of it. But Basskirk. Basskirk is a simple Mega Blaster. At the beginning of your main phase, Soul Charge 1, this unit gets plus 2k until end of turn. But what's a Mega Blaster, you might ask? A couple people here, you know, might be a bit too young to really understand the value of Mega Blasters. You see, back in the day, Amaterasu was a serious deck. It is still a serious deck, but it's not the same as it once was. Amaterasu, you know, you can, you know, you were Soul Charge 1, look at the top card, put it at the top or bottom. In other words, you can guarantee yourself a crit, or you can remove something that you don't want to the bottom. You combo it up with Tsukiyomi to a fantastic deck that reaches the stack super fast for all them crits, baby. And then she had a Mega Blast. If she hit, Counter Blast 5, Soul Blast 8, draw, I believe it was 5 cards? Maybe it was 4 cards. It was either 5 cards or 4 cards. Sorry, my memory's a bit hazy since she was all the way in set 1. But she was fantastic. She gets plus 4k if you have 4 or more cards in Soul. So in other words, as a 7k, she was a 21k attacker who knows the top card of the deck or removed an unfavorable top card of the deck. And by the way, with Coco and a few other cards, you could constantly be looking at it slide, slide, slide. With Magus, even though she's not a Magus archetype, you can still use her to get those pluses. Let's say you see something on the top you want. Boop. Oh, I'm going to use... What's her name? Just a second. The Compendium. Let's see here. I see something on the top. I'm going to use Stellar Magus. Counterblast 1, this unit attacks at Vanguard. If you have an Oracle Think Tank, pay the cost. If you do... Counterblast 1 if you have an Oracle Think OTT deck, pay the cost. If you do... Let's see here. Name the top card of your deck. If it is the one that you named, put it into your hand. If you fail, unflip a damage. That's a fantastic card. Combos well with Amaterasu, because Stellar Magus doesn't require Magus cards, or Magus archetype. Basskirk is a bit different. He is, of course, suited to Granblue. Granblue, Mega Blast. Choose up to 5 Granblue from the drop zone and call it to separate rearguard circles. Plus 5. For a Counterblast 5, Soul Blast 8. Wow. That's fantastic. It's hard to get out, but at the same time, and, not using Counterblasts or, is a bit difficult. He fills his own soul, and there are cards in Granblue that fill the soul pretty well. And I think even comboing up with Deep Sea Banshee, I will be able to get a fantastic soul, a fantastic series of counterblasts, and just sort of beat the piss out of whoever I'm fighting. Just by running their advantage out. In decks like against Eradicators, okay, you killed everything on my field. Tempest Bolt's pretty sweet, gotta admit. Mega Blast. Card advantage. It's fantastic. It is a fantastic card. Of course, Mega Blasters, he only gets plus 2k, and you won't have anything that boosts him beyond plus that, because I don't really like running the 10k boosters, which are mill 2 plus 4k. Or is it mill 1? Mill 3? It's mill plus 4k. So, of the 3 stars I have, the obvious choice is this guy. I don't like him because it's the top 3 cards, but at the same time, he's free. And he's a 5k booster. These are, of course, 5k boosters, but he uses a Counterblast, mills 2, and minuses himself. Then you draw a card. This is minus himself, Counterblast 1, top 10. I don't like that. He is a simple minus yourself, top 3. You can't choose. You could get lucky, you could get unlucky. Either way, Granblue does have the ability to, get around minuses because of their trigger lineup. Now, here's the thing. Granblue doesn't use draws. You should not use draws in a Granblue deck. Excuse me. Gotta remove him. These are the triggers that I'm not using right now. As you can tell, they're pretty sparse. Here's Hades Steersman. When your grade 3 Vanguard is put on, when a grade 3 Granblue is put on Vanguard Circle, I can call this to R, boosting Casitas. So in other words, Casitas becomes an 18k attacker, for free with a stand. However, there aren't enough stands to make a proper deck, and, the crits work. And I'll describe why. Besides that 18k, that means you have to guard with him, that means you're running stands, and with the Break Ride, he does work. But it just doesn't have that je ne sais quoi that fantastic decks have, because the pressure of 12 crit overrides draws. You don't need draws in a Granblue deck because you are essentially not using cards from hand and putting things on the field. Your deck to drop zone to field isn't anything but a plus to you because you're not using hand. Sure, you might say you might run out of deck, but here's the thing, everything runs out of deck eventually. You know, there's no point in complaining about that. Legion comes out, by the way, and I will be running Legion deck, and I know a fairly formidable card fighter who will be using his, you know, his own version, and it's going to be, whew, fantastic, because the Legion that's coming out is just beautiful, and I'll talk about them later on, closer to set 16. In the future, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to talk about Fighters Collection, and November releases in October. This is a bit awkward, because I started too early to really get going with cards and talking about them before now. I only started, what, last month? So we're going to do here, I'm going to cover some, you know, set 15 stuff. Then I'm going to cover the stuff that's coming out in November, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so let's look at, you know, my trigger lineup. Grade 0 lineup. First off, I'm running 2 Chappie the Ghosties. When this unit is guarded with, search your deck for up to 1 Grand Blue, put it in the drop zone shuffle deck. So in other words, it's a -1, but at the same time it puts a Deep Sea Banshee. I actually don't like this because I had to take one out of, I believe, the grade 2s, I want to say, and the grade 3s. But I'm going to put one back in the grade 3s eventually. And he'll come back later. I do want to keep one, though, because it's an extra 10k, more defense, and it lets me put something I need into the drop zone, which Basskirk and the Break Ride will bring out. So he's off to the side. 12 crit. The standard for heal. These guys are just generic. Okay, there it is. It's under here. These guys are generic. He's actually a part of the... oh dear, I've forgotten his name. It's not Deadly Swordsman. Anyway, it's a grade 3. If you have him and the grade 1 and a grade 2 Vanguard, you can kill these two, the grade 1 Samurai Spirit and Knight Spirit, to summon out whatever the heck his name was. I'm sorry, I don't have him anymore. Used to, though. Good card. A lot of people don't realize is that Grand Blue has a history, like Kagero, of superior rides, from grade 2 to grade 3. As long as you have the Casitas grade 1 and 2 superior ride chain, you can just be like, okay, grade stuck at 1, no, discard a card, oh my goodness, there's a grade 2 in the drop zone, ride. Oh my goodness, I have the grade 2, I can put Casitas from the drop zone into here, ride. But let's talk about her. Deep Sea, Rough Seas Banshee is one of the reasons this deck works. If you need an emergency card that isn't a trigger, put this unit in a soul, draw up to 1 card. Beautiful. Now, why you wouldn't draw a card, you know, I have no idea, but it's probably to prevent you decking out. This is also the sexiest heal. I'm actually really sad. I've built a Blue Storm deck. It's not complete yet, so I don't want to talk about it in detail because I don't have the Karma Dragons. But I had to get rid of Legs McGee, who was my favorite heal trigger almost in the game. She had legs that went on forever. Very mucho aesthetic. Makes me sad, but hey, sacrifices you have to make because of all the special counter blasts in Blue Storm. Okay, 4 perfect shields. The Quintet Wall comes out in set 17. So let's look at what I've got here. I have 4 Sea Strolling Banshees, one of the best arts in the game, hands down. When this unit is placed on R from the drop zone, if you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, pay the cost if you do draw a card. In other words, Basskirk, let's say you have 11 in Soul. 11 cards in Soul. By the way, you can Soul Blast these and account for Basskirk's ability. Just saying, if you want to run a light mill deck, just make sure you keep riding and getting the right cards in Soul. This card activates, +3. You Break Ride, Soul Blast 1, she's an 11k booster, +1. Sure, she disappears later, but at the same time, it was a plus you didn't expect to have. Dandy Guy Romario, he's a dandy guy. Only run 3 because he was with Casitas and he hit 23k. He's going to help him hit 20k, which was good once, but is no longer. But he will help the Break Ride hit. Yes, 21. And that's good enough. Really, it's not about the numbers. It's about conserving card advantage and hitting well, which isn't the same thing. But also, I've got 2 Samurai Spirits. Samurai Spirits is part of the Superior Ride chain. If somebody remembers what the Grade 3 is, please put it in the comments section. I'm afraid I don't have a computer nearby. But here's the thing. He's Counterblast 1 and choose a Grand Blue Rearguard and retire it. If you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, call this card to R. He's bad now. He's a break-even, sure. You can combo him up with her. You can Break Ride, use her ability, then use his ability. And that's great, because he doesn't disappear. She would anyway. But at the same time, this isn't what I want for the deck, because it uses a Counterblast. I can, of course, simply replace him with a Dandy Guy or Mario. And that's, actually a good idea. Because there will be some cards that I will be playing that will be weak. And I need to bolster their attack a bit. So, but what I am going to put into is one of these. Cell Blast 2 and choose a Grand Blue Rearguard and retire it. If this is a Grand Blue Vanguard, call it to R. Why? I know it uses Soul, and there's a lot of cards that use Soul in this deck, in the Grade 1 section. Why am I using this? Because... just a second. Because sometimes you need to do this. This is all about the choices you have as a Grand Blue player. And Grand Blue players should always have choices. I pity the day that, Grand Blue doesn't have all this great stuff. But in fact, no. Grand Blue is just going to continue getting more and more great things, making great, better and better plays. In Fighter's Collection, we have a Superior Rider like in the old days, and something that gives pluses. Fantastic levels of pluses. I just wish, I think it's like, I can't remember, Nightcross or something like that. One of the night people. Vampire Pirates, which is cool and badass in and of itself. Works with you, so you ride the Break Ride, you're already at 4, ride that guy over it, boom. I believe you can do that. Can't remember if it's Grade 2 only or Grade 2 or higher. So all of a sudden you're Break Riding way, way faster than you expect to. With Unlimiters, it's not even a question of, waiting. You can just do it. Legion's coming up. I'm looking forward to that because it'll have a card when this unit is brought out of the drop zone to Rearguard Circle, it gets plus 3k. Wow. 10k booster. Mega Colony needs something like that. Murakumo wants something like that when they got that 9k woman. Something or other fox. Alright. So, let's look at our lineup here. We've got 3 10k attackers for Grade 2. We have 3 Ruin Shades. She is a put 2 cards from the top of the deck into your drop zone when this unit attacks. If you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k. Real fantastic. She's a triple rare, decently valuable card. She does get a little bit less nice when set 17 comes out, but she's certainly useful, certainly deserves that triple rare. She's one of the reasons why it used to be if you bought a box of set 2, you had a 50-50 chance of making immense amounts of money off of it, or, it's sucking immensely. Scarlet Witch Coco before her reprint, and... set 2. No. It wasn't Palamedes. Oh yeah, the Bermuda Perfect Shield is still keeping its value decently. But that's a double rare. Can't remember so much. It's like 4 in the morning though. I'm tired. Also, we got 3 of these. This unit is placed on the Rearguard Circle from drop zone. If you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, this unit gets plus 3k until end of turn. A decent card. But at the same time, it has to be returned from it. Comboed up with Break Ride, it's a 16k attacker. Comboed up with Basskirk, he is an automatic 12k attacker, with of course whatever's behind him. Armin, that's his name, is a combo up with him, so in other words, you summon them both. They're a 22k Golem by themselves. If they're summoned out with a break ride, they're 32k. Legion, of course, is his own special circumstance. Doesn't give power, but it does give abilities, and it makes things really easy to call out. And now we have 3-star chef Pietro. He's the damage and flipper. Right now, I think maybe Pale Moon too. Most clans have a unflipper by now. Link Joker just got theirs in the form of a deleter from the movie booster, which I will cover eventually, and I'll be mentioning today actually. But let's talk about these. Good? No. So let's go over this. Why is this good? 18k, 16k boosts. 21k if you summon out something with the break ride. 26k. Good numbers, good numbers, good numbers. She's a bit of a minus to the deck, but at the same time it's a minus we can bear. The problem is, I think something happened to my Ruin Shade, and I don't know where it went. Probably traded it, I just don't remember. For a Minerva, I think. But, you know, I don't really want more of her. I want more of him. So, actually, no. I'm sorry. I completely forgot. I need to go over these first. This is a superior ride chain for Casitas. Basically, if your opponent has a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, I can discard a card. Sure, it delays me a turn, but as long as Casitas is in the drop zone, it's a guaranteed ride. Skeleton Demon Wall Knight. This is Deadly Spirit. He is with the double rare. Deadly Spirit. Oh, sorry. Master Spirit or something like that. Soul Blast 2 and choose a grade 1 or greater rear guard and retire it. If you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, call this card R. Good. Combos up well with the superior ride, so you get that off early. But at the same time, it's a bit expensive and not really worthwhile. Much like the horse. Seahorse. Damage and flipper. Now, this is the one I want to replace it with. Oh, by the way, another 10k at this. And the 11k natural. Restraint. This unit cannot attack when the Grand Blue unit is placed on rear guard. From drop zone, this unit loses restraint. If this is boosted by Grand Blue on the Vanguard circle, this unit gets plus 5k. It's a good card, but isn't what we're looking for right now. We're not doing constant, flipping things out of the drop zone. What we are doing is we're getting very specific things off of the drop zone at very specific times. And usually all at once when the opponent cannot guard against it. So these guys, sorry, they're good, but this isn't the deck for them. And that's really all this is about. This guy, however, is, when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if you have a 4 or more Grand Blue rear guards, draw a card. I love this clone. Here's the thing about it. Baskirk guarantees it. The break ride almost guarantees it. And besides that, you can wait a bit and then put some stuff out, before you attack. And, let's say he's a 12k attacker because he was brought out, boosted by Deep She's Banshee. She's still a 23k column. That's a 15k guard on cross rides. It's fantastic. Oh, excuse me. So I'm pulling this stuff out, and I'm replacing it with him. I'm only running 2 right now because I only have to. What I would do is I don't know if I would run more. I have to test it first. He's a great card. It's just that, I don't know. So here's what we're looking at for grade 2s. Attackers, defense, card advantage. Grand Blue doesn't really need more card advantage, but you never know when you're unable to get a Deep Sea Banshees into the drop zone for that righteous card advantage, or when you have even the soul for it. There are times when riding Baskirk means you have to, forego a little bit of this earthly pleasure. So let's talk about grade 3 lineup. Right now, this is my lineup. I don't like it. SP, by the way. Every deck should have an SP in them, and I'm trying to make that happen with my own decks. But, that'll happen someday, and I'm just looking forward to it. When I have a lot more disposable income, I'll do it. But these 3, Night Mist, great card. He's Limit Break 4 when the Grand Blue rides this unit. And plus 10k. Choose 2 Grand Blue from the drop zone. Give them plus, put them on the rearguard circle. Those units called with this effect get plus 5k until end of turn, and at the end of the turn retire those units. It's temporary, but with Banshees it becomes permanent. With other cards, it can become permanent. If this was a Casitas, if this was a Casitas deck or a Casitas reverse deck, I'd run more Night Spirits and a few other cards that use counterblasts, and turn those potential break-evens or not being used into pluses. Overall, it's all in the genius and how to use them. He's a great card. I'm going to add one more with this guy into the compendium. Bam. By the way, Night Mist was actually a grade 2 in set 2, if I recall correctly. Double rare. And let's look at what he did, just for a blast of the past sort of deal. Really good. I've only got 2. During your turn, if you have another card, if you have a card named Captain Night Mist in your drop zone, in other words, him, this unit gets plus 3k, 11k attacker in an era where everyone is 10k. That's beautiful. Drop zone, counterblast 1 and choose a grade 1 or greater rearguard and retire it. If you have a Grand Blue Vanguard, call this card a rearguard zone. Circle. Beautiful. So in other words, you play off cards against each other to get that perfect field. All of a sudden, 18k attackers in an era when there was no cross rides. Nice. So here we go. We're running 8 grade 3s now, and let's remove the Casitases. Casitases, of course, when this unit rides, counterblast 2, summon something out of the drop zone. It's a +1, maybe a +2 if you get a Banshee, but at the same time, it's out of date. And I know, like, this is coming from a guy who's going to Baskirk, but the reason Garmor fell out of favor, and there's the same reason why Casitas said at the end. A Casitas deck with, what is his name? Deadly Swordmaster, another Superior Rider, non-Grand Blue Vanguard or Rearguard is getting -2k. This was pretty common before Lord. Drop zone, choose a unit named Deadly Spirit and a Deadly Nightmare from your rearguard circle and retire them. Ride this if you have a grade 2 or greater rearguard. Not, if your Vanguard has a grade... If you went first, all of a sudden your opponent is at grade 1 and you're at grade 3 and you're getting that card advantage, baby. Replacing this. Anyway, well, that's because, Power Breakers aren't as great as they were anymore. Vortex Dragon, the Kagura one, is Counterblast 2 on ride to kill something. Great! I can do that with Berserk Dragon. I can do it more with other cards that are more powerful. In certain conformations. I mean, Novell, for Pete's sake, kills everything. Of course, that's Novell. Chain Blast Dragon kills 3 cards for this discardation of a couple grade 3s, which are useless in your hand anyway if you don't have Perfect Shields, and a few other things. So, here's a grade 3 lineup. Let's do it. So here's how it should look. You've got this here. We're not going to worry about Soul for now, but let's say you got 2 of these here. Yeah, that's fine. Then from grade 1s, you got boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. Let's just keep it like that. Okay, so let's say you're at, a decent amount of Soul. You've been riding over and over Night Mist. So you do this. Boom, boom, +1. This is a... Just went over it. 23k column. Draw a card for his ability. This dies at the end of the turn. Soul Charge a bit. Using... Rough Seas Banshee. Soul Charge for his ability. That's at least 2 cards in a turn. This lets you draw a card when you Soul Charge it. All of a sudden, oh, look at that. Next turn, Mega Blast. You've got 11 cards in Soul. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Sure, 13k columns. But at the same time, that's why you got guys like this. And let's face it, you will have a field out there unless Narukami shows up to rain on your parade. Your Ghost Zombie Parade, to be precise. And besides, look at this face. It's almost as good as Og's. Almost. That might seem a bit. This might seem a bit circuitous, but at the same time, you don't need to do him. I'm just doing him because he's maximum card advantage. You can do a Ruin Shade or Let's see here, what's his face? Corrupt Dragon with Deep Sea's Banshee, he's an 18k. With Dandy Guy Romario, he is a Dandy Guy, 20k. 30k if you break ride. You know, it's all in how you do it, what you let your imagination, you know, come up with. And, you know, I know I'm not the first person to do this deck. It would be too arrogant of me to think about it. And I'm not an arrogant man, mostly. Sometimes. I'm very good at keeping my arrogance down, you know. By the way, card back. Captain Night Kid. Love it. Very cute. Very chic. Putting this stuff away. Let's talk about Legion coming up. And something that's been coming up very closely, and that we have been monitoring it, is the fantastic card, Blaster Joker. Blaster Joker. It's the, you know, new unique card. Just a second. And, you know, it's a fantastic card. Sorry for the interruption. Really beautiful, really anti-meta. It's almost elegant in how it interacts with the world around it.
Move it, Minner.
There's, you know, just a lot of great stuff here. And also what's fantastic is its support. So let's talk about the card. It is a Legion, and it legions with Companion Starvader Photon. Photon comes in the trial decks for Link Joker with Garnet Star Dragon. Garnet Star Dragon, which is Legion, lock 2 units, one front, one back. It's a perfect companion grade 3 for this guy, because he works with Dilaton. But I'll come back in a second. But he's also, you know, the mate of that. So he is... let's see, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard name, Starvader in the card name, and your opponent has a locked card. By the way, doesn't need Legion. Choose an opponent's rearguard and lock it. Works with just about anything, any deck, anytime, as long as it's Starvader. So it doesn't work with like Binary Star Twin Gunner, or let's see. There's not really many aces that stand on their own and are good that are also not Starvader. So, you know, there's that. Even the Break Ride Starvader, Pete's sake. Alright then, so Blaster Starvader, Blaster Joker. Legion, gonna remind you what that is. 2,000 power on your turn. If you have an opponent has a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, only once this unit may return 4 cards from the drop zone to the deck. Search your deck for one specified card and perform Legion. Wow, beautiful, love it. What's the ability for Legion? Just a second. Okay. Sorry for the interruption again. Let's talk about Photon. Photon combos up with Garnet Star Dragon, who is a good combo for Blaster Joker. There's a bunch of ways you can make the deck. You can make it about locking a lot of things because things are locked. By the way, a lot of the Legion Starvader stuff locks 4 cards. It's weird. If you combo it up right. Instead of the usual triangle lock, we've got 4 cards. That's okay. But support. Dilaton and Mariam are the main ones. I actually have to explain Blaster Joker before I talk about these cards. So let's talk about them. Because they work on them. And work with the other stuff, grade 3s. With this unit, Photon. Actually, wait, Blaster Joker. Legion with Companion Starvader Photon, who is, if you have a lock card and it's placed on rearguard circle and you have a Starvader, lock another locked unit. It's fantastic. Lock another unit, excuse me. It's a free lock. At the same time, he doesn't do much anything else, so you sort of, you know, play him off just right, if you're careful. If your opponent has a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, once and only once, this unit may return 4 cards from your drop zone to your deck. Search your deck for the specified card and perform Legion. Counterblast 2, Soul Blast, and the ability is that when you can Legion is Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 2, and choose one of your rearguards with the Vanguard Starvader and name this guy for reasons I'll talk about in a bit. Card name is Lock It. If this unit is in Legion, lock all your opponent's rearguards and retire the Legion mate. Wow! It unlegions a card, and when you Legion, you cannot Legion again. Boom. All of a sudden, it makes a whole lot of decks less terrifying because it is a -1. to get that card back again. And if you don't have the card in hand, the grade 3 that Legion's in hand, all of a sudden I'm going, okay, here's a 10k shield and a 15k shield, you can't touch me. Because everything else is locked. And where do the triggers go? To the Vanguard. Even if you double trigger, if I put down that 15k no pass, you know what? And I gain a card from that. Because the usual expenditure of cards in a Vanguard game and late mid is 4 cards. Perfect shield, 10k for rear guards. And that covers just about anything. Assumes no triggers, obviously. And, you know, the fact that Vanguard has triggers is the fact that that means that you can't just build a card advantage deck and expect to outlast your opponent. You gain 3 cards every turn, not counting triggers or card abilities. You know, and you gotta balance that out and sort of spend it just wisely. Cards like Mega Colony and OTT gain cards by doing certain things. Mega Colony by delaying the opponent and shutting down his field so you don't have to spend as much. OTT by literally drawing the cards out. The other ability is choose one card with the same name as the unit in your Vanguard circle, in other words, Photon or Blast or Joker. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets +1 critical until end of battle. In other words, let's say you're boosting, let's say you use the ability. You've Legioned already, Let's see what the combo is. You put this guy behind Blast or Joker. He is a, let's put him behind, I don't know, Dilaton. For no reason. When this unit, rearguard circle, rest this unit. If your Vanguard is in Legion, choose a unit named Blast or Joker on your Vanguard circle, and that unit gets +10k. In other words, he's a 30k plus booster, which let's say it's another Mariam. You know, so it's oh wow, you can do the Mariam too. So 40k crit too, because you also discarded a card. Here's the thing: you use his ability because you have to lock one of your own rear guards with Starvader in his name. This guy. By the way, he's the only Link Joker that locks your own units. You know, he's like Yellow Bolt in a Amon reverse deck. You tap Yellow Bolt to Soul Charge 1, and then he gains abilities. It's fantastic and beautiful. You know, solid. It works. And what's more, it's artistic. This is an artistic card because it makes a bold statement, darling. Look at it. It even has no capes. No capes. The rings. Anyway, and the Legion rare. It's also beautiful. Now, what does Dilaton do? I've kept him away a bit. He's actually a reverse Gallatin. Just like this is a reverse Maron in its own way. I think they're copies or clones or Link Joker things or whatever. He's straight up reversed. And it's apparently the perfect reverse or something like that. And so Alfred really needs to put the beat down on him, not going to lie. But this guy, when this unit is placed in the rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is in Legion, in other words, use his ability first than this guy's. If your opponent has 2 or more locked cards, 5 locked cards, search your deck for up to 1 Blaster Joker, reveal it to the opponent, put it into your hand, shuffle deck. Takes away triggers. By the way, you just put in 4 triggers, I hope. So in other words, he constantly uplifts your ability to deal damage, deal power to your opponent. It's a beautiful card. Everything working in a sort of symphony of pain and locks and retiring Legion mates and a whole host of other things that really, you know, that will set this deck apart as an S+ deck, highest of the high. To the person who understands how to wield it, understands how to combo everything together. The Leeters are also coming out and they're pretty powerful. Haven't seen them in the tournaments yet because it hasn't been released and it won't be released for 8 days. Sorry, 7 days. 4 days by the time you see this? Yes, it sounds about right. 4 days. Really though, it's all in how you put this together. You can run Palladiums, but at the same time, you know, that doesn't really work. Nothing really works that uses Counterblast in this deck because you have to save it for him, except for 1 or 2 things that are really small. They got their damage on Flipper. They definitely have cards that put things into Soul, and you just gotta, you know, you gotta figure out what your balance is. You got to figure out how you want to ride this guy into what sequence. You want to ride a Garnet Star or two, and then you go him. You've got a Photon in deck. You know that. You know, you do this, boom, and all of a sudden, every Garnet Star you put into the deck is sorry. Every Garnet Star you put into Soul pays for his own ability. And Garnet Star is free, by the way. No counterblasts. It's a fantastic trial deck card. I'm sure it's going to be very popular. The combination of high-intensity Vanguard fights with the rise of quintet walls, they're going to get more popular. They really aren't going to, they aren't going to go away. And of course, with some of the quintet walls, okay, if I called upon the scenario earlier, that's 40k crit 2. That requires at least 3 10k shields for a 1-pass, assuming 11k or 13k defense, not a 10k or a 9k. This still happens on occasion if someone's running it, stupidly. A quintet wall with, 4, yeah, sure, if it's 11k, because this guy's just a 20k, 40k, attacker with no booster, it's fine, it's fine. But at the same time, it's still a quintet wall, it's still -5 cards, and they've lost the ability to Legion. You don't Legion until they Legion. You going first is fantastic, you going second just delays the inevitable. Really? I'm going to play this deck. It won't be expensive as Glendios, because people won't, it doesn't have the same punch as Glendios does, which is an instant win if you have 5 locked rear guards. You really have to sort of manage him. You have to know when the right time is to strike, any number of things. So what I'm going to do, this is going to come out on Friday, and I'll be heading on the way to Chicago on that time. What I would like to do also is, when I come back, we should know who the winners are for the tournament. By somehow, anyway, I'll probably hear of it through Ash or someone else or the website itself, and I'll cover that deck, what won, what went well with it, how did the people on Imagine Your Goddess and myself did, what were my matchups, how did that happen? And this will be a great resource for people who are looking forward to going to Chicago deck. I've got no compunctions. I'm probably going to lose, but at the same time, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to conquer. I'm going to make some friends, make some money. And then actually I'm going to be coming home early and going to Kansas City for a giant box tournament with a lot of boxes. Kansas City, Missouri. Hope you enjoyed this segment. If you have any questions, as always, ask me. I will answer them for you if I can. And, I enjoy doing this, and I want to thank you for it. For all the views and stuff like that. Hey, this has been Benjamin Wheeler, the Mercenary King, signing out and wishing you a great tournament season. October has no releases, November does, but October has the regionals. Alright, out.